is the state of wearables going? The Apple Watch has been around for quite a while now, and it has become the #1 selling smartwatch. Apple very quickly has become the leader in this field, and no one else is really touching them. Samsung's doing pretty good. I've tried the S Gear devices, and they're moderately okay. I like that the bezels rotate, and Samsung designs their own operating system because they clearly acknowledge that Android Wear is lacking a bit. Having tried Android Wear myself, it's definitely lacking a lot of the wow factor I think that the Apple Watch provides. There's something about this that just seems a tad more magical and a tad more user-friendly than anything else I've tried. Never once have I found a smartwatch that has made me want to ditch my Apple Watch. I've seen Fitbit Blazes surprisingly a lot more all over the place. I reviewed that thing a long time ago back when no one had one, and I thought it was really overpriced and not that smartwatchy. I thought it was too close to being the price of an Apple Watch, and I thought that if you could spend $200 on a wearable, then you could easily spend $270 on an Apple Watch and you'll be clearly more happy with it. But I think Apple's going to be the king of the smartwatch industry for quite a while, for a couple of key reasons, and here's some of them. So a lot of people would look at the Apple Watch and say, it's not very customizable. You know, they don't allow third-party watch faces. It doesn't look all rugged like the Gear S3. Looks kind of like a Happy Meal toy, right? Where I tend to disagree with the customization thing. Just because something is not opened up to third-party developers, I don't think that necessarily means it's not customizable. What I kind of admire about the Apple Watch that Apple really hasn't done with the rest of their lineup is it is by far the most customizable product they have. First of all, it's one of their most diverse lineups of just hardware. There's space gray, silver, gold, rose gold, stainless steel in both space black, and you know, that mirror finish, as well as the edition that is made of steel enforced ceramic. That is 7 different color options, and we haven't even talked about the watch bands yet. The other thing I love about the design of the Apple Watch that they have kept, luckily, and I wish they would push onto their other devices, is that the glass on the front is black, of course, because when a display is off, it is dark, but they also keep the bezels black, and I think the contrast between black bezels and any color of aluminum looks really beautiful. I wish they would put black bezels on the product red iPhone, on the rose gold iPhone. I don't really like the white bezels because it makes the display so noticeable. On here, they clearly wanted to make it feel like where the display starts and where the glass starts is so invisible, it just kind of exists on the display. I wish they would do that with the iPhones. The display blends in so much better when there's black bezels, and especially when you get a dark colored watch band in a light colored aluminum build. Oh, it looks great. If anyone's ever seen a rose gold Apple Watch with a black Milanese loop, colors just work so nicely between all Apple Watches. And yes, you got me that the watch bands are expensive, but hey, Apple's made their entire company on making sure their products are the best, not the cheapest. Like I saw an Apple News headline the other day that said, Apple can't keep thinking it can get away with selling overpriced tech. And I remember thinking, why not? It's worked the past 30 years. They're the most valuable brand in the world, and you're gonna tell them they're doing something wrong? Apple's doing pretty good. And a lot of people out there like to assume that the Apple Watch was a flop, or the Apple Watch, they're out of ideas. Steve Jobs would have hated the Apple Watch, or it's not practical to have an Apple Watch, when simply the numbers just don't hold true. Apple talks about this in their keynotes. Their smartwatch has some of the highest customer satisfaction rates of any of their products. Again, it is one of the most valuable watch brands in general, not just smartwatches, all watches. It's like number 3 or number 2 in how much money is spent on watches every year. It is incredibly popular, but because the competition can't really touch it, everyone just assumes it's an Apple thing. Oh, the Apple Watch, it's just kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. It's only cool because Apple Sheet will buy anything. There is some truth to that, but there may be some truth to that, but keep in mind the Apple Watch has been selling very well in the most recent quarters. They make great holiday gifts. It is the best accessory to the iPhone, and personally, speaking as a guy who's worn the Apple Watch ever since it came out, I don't know how I could live without it now. It's not because taking your phone out of your pocket is a tedious task. A lot of people say, I don't need an Apple Watch because pulling out your phone is so easy. And yet there's all these instances where I'm around my family, my friends, my coworkers, and if they had an Apple Watch, they could solve so many of their problems. Like they get spam calls all the time and they're like, who is this? And they pull their phone out of their pocket and go, I don't know who that is, instead of a simple tap. Or a lot of the time I see my friends or family lose their phone in the room somewhere. They go, man, where did I put that? And I'm always in the back of my head going, wouldn't it be nice if you had a ping feature where you could just tap your watch and it would bleep a very loud sound? Wouldn't that be convenient? So the process of taking your phone out of your pocket isn't tedious. No, the problem is it's so often that the fact that the Apple Watch simplifies this motion into a simple glance so that you know if you need to take your phone out of your pocket or not is a very, very simple invention, but it makes all the difference in day-to-day life, especially for those of us who use our iPhones constantly. We get tons of notifications, and this, as I've said many times in the past, is is the best notification manager. It is incredibly good at telling you when to take your phone out of your pocket and when you could leave it in. I love that I can see texts from certain people I need to answer immediately and other people I don't need to worry about. Some of it is just Twitter. And on top of all of this, you have one of the best and most accurate activity trackers ever, as seen by my t-shirt here. It has been so helpful to me ever since I started to do YouTube full-time. I've been sitting at a desk a lot editing. I've decided that ever since I switched to YouTube full-time, I'm going to try to close all 3 rings every single day so that I don't gain weight and become unhealthy. It's important to stay active. I ride mountain bikes with my dad. I go canoeing with him. I go swimming out in my pool all the time. And it's really great to see a very simple and intuitive way of making sure you're not sitting for too long, making sure you're burning active calories, and making sure you spend at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. I love that about the Apple Watch, and frankly, I haven't seen Android Wear and I haven't seen S Health done a better job at making customizable watch faces. There's so many different ways you can tinker with all the watch faces Apple gives you, to the fact that I used to want them to open third parties to different watch faces, but now I don't, because I've tried Android Wear, who is okay with third-party watch faces, and they make things too complicated and they ruin that seamless experience of software and hardware. The watch faces that Apple gives us are so customizable and so useful because there's so many third-party complications that I don't want to see a third party try to make one. I just trust Apple to make sure they are intuitive, easy to read, and informative. And honestly, a lot of people look at the Apple Watch like it's this stupid little toy. To me, it's really what kind of keeps me grounded in the Apple ecosystem. The Galaxy S8 was a great phone, but I do not want to make the switch to the Gear S3. I've tried it, not my favorite smartwatch by a long shot, and it definitely can't do all the things my Apple Watch can, and it can't do them well. The Apple Watch is so good at making activity tracking easy, notification management easy, and the competition just simply doesn't. It wasn't as thought out, and I don't like how there aren't as many band options. You know, there's a new season of watch bands for the Apple Watch. Every time there's a new keynote, they announce all new stuff, and all of them are so well designed and they feel so premium. I love that my collection of Apple Watch bands keeps growing, and I'm excited to see what other watch bands we're going to see in the future, because it's rumored that with the Apple Watch Series 3, we're going to get smart bands that finally access that secret port inside. So I think the Apple Watch is doing great, and Apple kind of has a monopoly in this field. I think the number of users it has is going to keep growing. I gave my old Apple Watch to my girlfriend, and she loves it. We track each other's activity all the time. Luckily, she has smaller wrists, so I give her my small to medium bands that I get when I buy a new watch band. She loves closing all her rings too, so overall, I think Apple's done a marvelous job at this brand new product lineup, and I'm very excited to see what they have in the future. Let me know what your thoughts are on Apple's wearable, the Apple Watch. Do they need to expand it? Do they need to make more versions of it? And can the competition ever really compete with it? Because as of now, not really. It's not happening. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.